Well, obviously, the emotional 24 hours. Certainly disappointed, a little bit angry with what's taking place here with the selection committee. But, you know, at the end of the day, I'm just really proud of this team. We had a really good year, and, you know, excited to keep playing more games. 23 wins and 14 ACC wins. This group's got a lot to be proud of. And, you know, I also want to thank our fans. We had great turnout this year, especially later in the season. I hurt for our fans too, because this, you know, the NCAA tournament is a big deal, and to be this close, and we'd all love to be, you know, we'd love to be playing. I know our fans would love to be following us. So, you know, I hurt for them as well. You know, just in terms of, you're going to ask me about it, you know, the committee has a hard job. A lot of the teams are, you know, we're all very similar in certain ways. We all have our warts. We all have things we've done well, accomplishments, big wins. You know, one of the things I told our team is, you know, unfortunately we lost a couple games that we probably shouldn't have, and, you know, we put it in the committee's hands. And when you do that, then sometimes you're not going to always get the call you want. It's like being at the end of a game and, you know, you putting it in the referee's hands at the end of a game. That's something that we don't like. We would rather control things we can control. Having said all that, I still adamantly feel like, you know, they made a mistake. And it's hard to listen to some of the things that are said, that it, you know, basically was all metrics is what it looks like. And the problem with that is there's so many metrics that they just pick and choose. And I said this a month ago, that they just pick and choose whatever they want. You know, in 18-19, we didn't have enough quad one wins. We had great, we didn't have bad losses. And we lost to elite teams because that was the year that there were 3 #1 seeds from the ACC. But we were kept out with that. This year we obviously had some bad losses, but we had great wins. I mean, we were 4-4 against quad one teams, and 3 of those were on the road. And, you know, it rings true in my ear. Jay Billis, and that's maybe way back in 18-19 when I didn't like what he was saying, was who can you beat and where can you beat them? And we proved that we can beat several of the teams that got in, you know, and we can beat them at home, we can beat them on the road, we can beat them in neutral, and we did that. And to watch some of those teams get in and us not, I know that part of it was hard for me, and it was really hard for our players. It's hard to justify that to your players. They don't know all the metrics and all those kinds of things, and I don't think it makes sense. And obviously that's why when the shows are over and you listen to Fonzo Ellis, Dick Vitale, Seth Greenberg, and Jay Billis, and they're all saying that Clemson should have been in, this has been a very challenging time. But again, we had chances to take care of our business, and we did. So we left it up to the committee, and unfortunately maybe the metrics are more important than common sense or just head-to-head watching games. So I feel bad about that. But again, I just think there's a lot of good positive momentum with our program. I'm really proud of this team. My heart hurts for Hunter Tyson, Brevin Galloway, the seniors. You know, they don't get another chance. And what those guys sacrificed and how hard they worked to put our team in this position to get a chance, you know, that's the part as a coach that you see that really, that just hurts you personally to have to watch that, watch those guys suffer a little bit. Having said that, I think I do think we'll rally. I think our guys will hopefully shake it off today. We kind of, yesterday was tough, and we can understand why, but today we've had to try to, you know, turn our attention to Morehead State. Got a lot of respect for them. We played them a couple years ago. Coach Spradlin does a great job. Won their league again. They've been winning their league most years now. just a really good team. Great quickness, good speed, shoot the three. I think they had the defensive player of the year in the league. He does a really good job. They run some really good action, a lot of movement, a lot of pace to their offense, a lot of misdirection. It's good stuff. And you can see why he's a good young up-and-coming coach. And so it'll be a challenging game. And, we've got to shake off the cobwebs here and move forward. And so we'll see how we do at practice today, but try to get that energy back.
Brad,
so questions?
It seems like, whether it be you guys this year or A&M last year, it seems like there's a precedent being set that the committee will reward teams for playing more high-quality competition in non-conference, regardless if they win many of those games or not, rather than a certain amount of wins or how you finish in your conference. I'm curious what your take on that is, and then also can you explain sort of your philosophy to non-conference scheduling?
Well, first of all, it may change year to year based on your team, right? And what league you're in. Like, the easiest example is Gonzaga, right? Because Gonzaga plays in the WCC, maybe not quite as strong as some of the Power 5 leagues, top to bottom. So they schedule like crazy in the non-conference to make sure that they're getting enough, big-time games. Most years when you're in the SEC, the Big Ten, the ACC, you're going to get enough quad 1 and quad 2 games that, you're going to still try to find a few in the non-conference, but you're not going to go load up with 8. Half of that usually, 5 or 6. Obviously, we have the Big Ten Challenge every year. We play South Carolina. We always play in an exempt, and usually that's at least 4 to 5. And then a lot of times we'll play a neutral. And, the hard part with sometimes with Clemson, and this is a complaint that I've stated to the league office for years, we're not all treated the same in the league. In the ACC Big Ten Challenge, I've been the head coach at Clemson for 13 years. I find it unbelievably ironic that in one of those years we can't play Indiana. Like, I'm from Southern Indiana, that's not a good TV story. Like that we can't sell that as a, they're usually one of the best teams in the Big Ten. Like, we can't bring them to Clemson one time, or I can't go back to Indiana or Purdue for that matter. We've never, those are challenging games that obviously if we would win them are very rewarding, right? It's the same with some of the non-conference tournaments, Battle for Atlantis and the Maui Classic, and, those are rotated every 4 years, but, Carolina and Duke and a lot of the bigger name basketball program Blue Bloods, they get to go to all those more than, we really ever do. And so we've got to go find other things. Like this year, we end up being penalized. We lose to Iowa on a tough call at the end of a game, and we play Cal. Mark Fox, one of my best friends, and they happen to have 1 million injuries and finish 300 in the and so we didn't schedule that to get a 300 RPI game. It just fell in our lap. South Carolina's in a rebuild. They have a bad year. Beat us, but they're rebuilding, so they're not as strong as probably the worst net team of South Carolina since I've been here. It happens to be this year. We tried to schedule 2 neutral site games. We actually took away a home game this year to schedule 2 neutral site games against Loyola and Richmond, 2 teams that have perennially been quad 2, even quad 1 games, and they're 3 and 4 this year. Loyola and Richmond have pretty good pedigree. I could try to get other, but I can't. I got to get somebody who wants to play us too. Yeah. And so my point to that is it's a challenge, and we're not getting a lot of help. And I think that's something that I've been, beating the drum on for years that's fallen on deaf ears sometimes. I'm hopeful it's going to get changed a little bit, because the league getting 5 teams in here recently all the time, it's not enough. And I don't think it's right. I think there should be more. There's a fine line when you go overboard with the metrics. Once you start playing in a league that has really good metrics, it doesn't matter whether you win or lose that many. You just play, and you're actually in a more dangerous position when you're Clemson, and we're playing some league teams that don't have good metrics. Well, the night we played Louisville, there were 16,000 people there. They were celebrating the 2013 team, and it wasn't the same as all the other games I watched Louisville play at home. There was juice, and those dudes played good, and And all that game can do is hurt you. And we had some other games like that. And so we had a couple bad things happen. We got to handle our business. I've stated that. That's, at the end of the day, if we just won one more game, we're probably in. But it's not quite as easy as everybody thinks it is. And sometimes there's things that you schedule ahead of time that just, you can't control whether the other team is as good as you thought they would be or they have been.
Coach, when you win the Big Ten Challenge and you got so many more Big Ten teams going to the tournament, they get so much more respect in the net. Their 9th place team is going in over the ACC 3rd place team. You ask yourself, what's the point of playing that?
Not so much playing it. This year that helped us because Penn State ended up being a great game. Now, I don't think they predicted Penn State to be as good as they were, and they didn't pick Clemson to be as good as they were. That's why they put us together. We lucked into it one year when we had a good team and weren't picked to be good, and Ohio State wasn't picked to be good, and we beat them up there when they ended up winning the league. But it's not good when you're just playing, teams that don't help you as much. It's good for high net teams, but not others. It's frustrating because our league did win the challenge, and I do think there's not that much difference, if there is, between the Big Ten and the ACC. But for them to get almost twice as many schools, I don't see it.
Brad, what was your reaction when you saw North Carolina, a team that was thought to have less of a shot to get in?
Yeah,
Closer
it didn't matter really.
No?
No, not really. I mean, we're either in or we're not in, and you're 69 or 70 or 71. Again,